Imagine the Sunshine State, palm trees, golden beaches, theme parks packed with millions of tourists. Now imagine politicians in that same state, deliberately turning off the lights. What if the very people who promised to protect Florida's economic powerhouse ended up sabotaging it? What if their decisions are now hollowing out small coastal towns, shuttering local businesses, and risking a multi-billion-dollar industry built on sand? This isn't fiction. This is Florida, and they may have destroyed their own tourism economy. In this video, you'll learn how political gambles, tax reassignments, and misguided policy decisions in Tallahassee are not just threatening Florida's tourism boom. They're turning record-breaking visitor numbers into a growing crisis for local communities. Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay tuned, because if Florida collapses, it won't just be a local disaster. It could ripple across the U.S. Let's start. Number 1. Florida's tourism. A gilded engine. For decades, tourism has been the lifeblood of Florida's economy. According to Florida's latest economic impact report, the travel and tourism industry generated $127.7 billion and supported more than 2.1 million jobs, about 14% of non-farm employment. Tourism isn't just about the big theme parks like Disney and Universal. It powers small businesses, restaurants, hotels, souvenir shops, local tours, and services. For every dollar a visitor spends in Florida, 97 cents are retained by the state economy. But in 2025, despite headline-grabbing visitor totals, many of those same businesses are bleeding. Number 2. The political gamble. Diverting tourism funds. Here's where things get dangerous. Florida politicians proposed laws, notably HB 1221 and HB 7033, to redirect up to 75% of the state's tourist development tax, bed tax, or hotel tax, away from tourism promotion into property tax relief. Why does that matter? Because 60%, or more, of the tourist development tax revenue has traditionally gone into advertising, marketing, and events that attract visitors. Tourism councils, the local boards that promote destinations, could be dissolved under these bills. Locals and tourism leaders are sounding the alarm. In Tampa Bay, Polk County, and many other destinations, there are fears of a funding crisis that could devastate local marketing efforts. Number 3. Record visitors, but not enough money in the pockets. On paper, Florida is still a magnet. In the second quarter of 2025 alone, the state recorded 34.4 million visitors, marking a new high. But there's a troubling disconnect. Many small businesses say their revenue has dropped by approximately 30%, even with foot traffic up. Higher operational costs, labor, inflation, and changing tourist spending habits, people spending less on food, entertainment, are squeezing local merchants. In beach towns, some local shops and restaurants feel like ghost towns, despite packed beaches. The visitor numbers are up, but the money isn't trickling where it should. Number 4. The Canadian factor and diplomatic fallout. Another hidden blow. Canadian visitors, especially snowbirds, seasonal residents, have sharply reduced their travel to Florida. That's a major issue because certain Gulf Coast tourist towns heavily relied on Canadians for seasonal income. With fewer coming, those local economies are suffering. Some locals estimate that the reduced Canadian influx could mean tens of millions in lost economic activity. This drop is not just about cost. It may be influenced by political tensions, travel costs, and a shifting perception of Florida as a politically risky destination. Number 5. Tax proposals and new visitor burdens. On top of redirecting bed tax revenue, there are reports that Florida is considering new visitor taxes to help balance the state budget. While the government argues that visitors should contribute more to infrastructure and public services, Critics say this could make Florida less competitive versus other tourist destinations. If this happens, tourism could become more expensive and less attractive, especially for cost-conscious travelers. Number 6. Environmental and political backlash. In a surprising twist, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law in May 2025 to protect state parks from commercial development. No new hotels, golf courses, or sports facilities. While conservationists celebrated, some argue that this signals deeper political chaos. Mixed messages about how Florida values its natural resources versus its tourism infrastructure. Meanwhile, cuts in arts funding also hit the tourism-culture nexus. DeSantis stripped $32 million from arts and cultural programs, groups that help drive tourism with local festivals, theaters, and events. Add in controversial political lawsuits, like Disney versus DeSantis over control of local governance, and the message gets muddled. Politics is directly bleeding into Florida's economic identity. Number 7. The rising risk for local economies. The biggest victims of this self-inflicted crisis are not the big corporations, but small businesses and local communities. If tourism marketing dries up, who will bring in those visitors next year? Tourism-dependent regions, especially outside the major theme parks, risk losing their competitive edge. If they can't advertise or maintain infrastructure, visitors may shift to other destinations. There's also a long-term danger. Once tourism markets collapse or become less reliable, supporting jobs will be lost. Hotels, restaurants, tours, property values could drop, especially if seasonal buyers pull back. Tax revenue for local governments could fall, fueling a vicious cycle. Number 8. What's next? Can Florida recover? Tourism leaders are fighting back. Some counties are mobilizing to oppose the bills and demand that tourist development tax revenue stay dedicated to marketing. Others are pushing for diversification, promoting ecotourism, off-season travel, and more sustainable models that don't solely rely on big theme park crowds. There may be hope in conservation. Protecting natural parks, as DeSantis did, could help draw more nature-based tourists. But only if the balance is right. Ultimately, it comes down to a political question. Will Florida's leaders prioritize long-term tourism resilience, or continue playing short-term tax games? Florida was built on the promise of sunshine, fun, and economic opportunity. But today, the state's political choices are threatening to dim that very promise. Will Tallahassee reverse course, or is Florida risking its future for short-term political gain? If you care about the future of Florida's economy, its communities, and its identity, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. Let the world know. This is not just a tourist issue. It's a political reckoning.